Hooray, I remember to do that. Jill's here. Perfect. I'll give it a couple more minutes and then we are recording, but then we'll start the show. Mike, did you get a lot of snow down in Lakeview? Or do you still have snow in Lakeview? You're
Lots
on
of
mute, I
snow.
believe, Mike.
No,
Not on mute, but
There we are.
yeah, back. Okay. Yeah, record snow this year. Probably 2 feet on the ground right now.
Wow.
wow.
Yeah, and around your door and your garage and at the end of your driveway, 8, 10 feet high.
Yeah, I was reading Crater Lake managed to do like 118 inches. They were,
Yeah.
I would assume they're doing more. Peggy, we're so spoiled in the mid valley. Peggy, we have 2 inches. We shut down school and all of the community offices. I mean,
How is
fun to watch it fall,
Warner,
though, isn't it? So pretty.
if we can't squeegee it,
how
we
is
won't do
Warner
it.
Canyon?
We are.
Sorry, I got to get a ski report.
We're just.
Big business this season, which is good because last season they didn't open for lack of school.
Right.
So, I was talking to a friend. He said he was skiing last weekend. He lost a ski and he had trouble getting it back on because the powder was up to his armpits.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So
Wow.
so good snow, very good.
Oh, wait till I tell Bruce.
That gets a little scary when then it gets to that point. Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Well, and I see we have Donna. Hi, Jill. Good to see you. Thanks
Good
for joining us.
morning.
Perfect. Okay. I'm going to try to make today as interactive as possible. So let's make sure we jump in. And if not, I will have Chris call on you. We are going to do, why do I not have, there we are. Can everybody see that?
Yep. Well, I can see that you started chip. There it is.
There
Yes.
it is. Okay. So I guess to start off, we're going to talk about attraction today and members and pretty much creating an environment. So I would love to start with just the simple question of, why did we join Rotary, and how did our, what do we do to engage our members? So at that point, Jim, why did you join? Why did you join Rotary? What was your compelling factor that made you join? Jim, we can't hear you. Does anyone else hear Jim?
I heard a muffle there for a second,
Yeah,
and then it
I
went.
don't know if it's a mic issue. Well, Peggy, you're up next. Why did you join Rotary, and what does your club do to engage your members? What is out of curiosity?
Well, I joined because they let me. So when I was president of Hospital Auxiliary, we were invited to come and present the program and stayed for the whole meeting. And I listened and I thought, my gosh, these are good people and they do good things. So I kind of talked to everybody I knew that was a Rotarian and asked them to sponsor me so I could join. Because I wanted to do good things too.
Love that.
They didn't let you join. They were lucky to have you join.
Yeah, you say that, but
no, I'm dead serious. Jill, why did you join Rotary, and what is
I worked in Medford and lived in Jacksonville, and we don't really have close neighbors, so I found that Rotary was a really good way to get to meet some of my Jacksonvilleonian neighbors, and it was the best thing I ever did.
Good to hear. Mike McLaughlin, did I pronounce the last name right, McLaughlin?
That works.
Okay, well, I want to make sure I don't.
Well, it's actually McLaughlin. And so, yeah,
Really?
yeah, it's got a little Irish in it. I joined Rotary, really, when you look at the motto, service above self. I have been in 3 different Rotary clubs. I moved over from Idaho. And so just, yeah, love the interaction, love uh, the service projects they do, and the meetings, with the programs and everything that I've experienced. That's been very, very educational and enlightening.
Okay. Jim, you're back on. Jim, we don't have any sound from you, buddy. I'm sorry.
He probably had the best stuff to say,
He
too.
probably did. Well, Donna or Paul, you guys want to jump in, Paul?
Not really. I'm driving, so
Okay.
I'm heading to my Rotary meeting.
Well, that's important. That's important. Well, we got some good stuff coming up, so hopefully you can stay with it. Mr. McGowan.
Were you a Rotarian in Boston?
No,
Yeah.
no. I would have been amenable to join. I had some partners and friends who were Rotarians, but I was traveling, that job, I was traveling 200 days a year. And back in the day, there were mandatory requirements, and it just wasn't, I was going to places where I couldn't do makeup meetings easily. So we waited. When we moved to Lakeview, new people in town, didn't know a soul. Robbie and I both looking for a way to meet people and also to be involved in the community. We had bought a business, but we wanted to be involved in the community. And Rotary was definitely the thing to do in our town.
You bet. Okay. Well, the reason why is I'm going to go back to sharing my screen here. And that's not what I wanted to share.
There it is.
There we go. Let's try this again. You read my email. It'd be nicer if you answered it for me. Okay, why am I doing this? Anyway, as we're going through and we are talking about bringing in membership and we're talking about how our clubs can gain membership, we have to ask ourselves, why did we join? And are the reasons why we joined still the same reasons? So this is an older graph, but I think it's still very much applicable to what we're doing today. So this is from 2011, and for our purposes today, I think it's going to probably still be somewhat accurate. But here's an interesting point. Look, 36% of all people that join Rotary joined because they wanted to make a positive impact in their community. 30% joined specifically just for friendship. They just wanted that friendship, that part in there. And so I hear that mirrored a lot today. But it's more important when we're sitting as either membership chairs or presidents, we really have to stop and ask ourselves, why would people join our club? And do we create the atmosphere that adds a positive impact in our community? Friendships. If we did just those 2 items, that would be 66% of the people would join our clubs. And we need to keep that in the back of our mind. 19% is networking. I questioned this at RLI because I often question whether networking is as strong in Rotary as it used to be. Some may say yes, some may say no. I think with social media affecting us, how we, for lack of better words, how we are networking with people to tell them what we do, whether it's through business or just the social network, I kind of add into the friendship side of it. But if you look at this 19%, 8% are global impact. The second part of this slide, by the way, is why do Rotary members join? Then why do Rotary members stay? And that 8% from a global impact actually grows. It doubles. More people stay in Rotary because of the global impact that we have. 4% is recognition. That's an interesting point. I've never drilled down on recognition. Is that because we want to be
Could be
recognized in the community as Rotarians? Do we want recognition personally? That's kind of an ambiguous term. But for now, it's a smaller part of the puzzle. And training, as we jump into that training side of it, I don't think we actually market that enough. I mean, I love our RLIs. I love our leadership training. I love the fact that PETS training alone is just amazing, and it is PELS. And now I'm going to jump in and out of that because I'm still first generation for PELS. And Chris is just going to deduct points off of me. But I don't think we push the training side of it as important. So I really feel that this is something that we should keep in front of us. I mean, every membership chair should have this glued as a screen share, just because it really drills down on why people join Rotary, and sometimes we forget. And it is as simple as friendship. As we're setting up our clubs, and as we're setting up our programs, and as we're looking at friendship, and we're looking at positive impact, are we really doing those two things? And are we good at it? And I think if we look in the mirror, a lot of clubs may say, no, we could do better. But when you look at that group of people at your club, this is what they're thinking, or at least I think that's what they think. So the next slide is to promote that. Are we creating a feeling of value? People like to do things that make themselves feel valued. They like to join things that makes it they feel value. Very important as a committee. Do we want to make them a committee of one? Then people are sitting there going, well, I'm not really adding any value, but do they want to be part of more than one? I would think so. So my next question is going to be for the group is, do we feel that those values that I put up on the screen are still valid? As Rotarians, as you look at your clubs, do you feel that what we're doing right now is mirroring why people join Rotary? Don't everybody jump in at once. Okay, Chris, you're on mute, but you can jump in. Start us off.
Well, I was just going to say, I've looked at this slide probably 100 times, but it just occurred to me this time that if you take networking and friendship, you get 49%. That's half of human relationships, whether it be business side or personal side. That's half of why people join. A big chunk is obviously making an impact. But Bruce, you brought up an interesting question, if that networking piece was still valid. And I think that maybe it isn't, but what's happened with our younger professional demographic? I think it could be valid if we promoted that. In fact, when we started our satellite club, which is called the Happy Hour Club, got renamed from the service network by the people that are in it. We started that with a networking event, not a recruitment to Rotary event. We just Rotary sponsored a networking event, and we had 35 people show up in South Eugene. So I think that networking piece is something that we don't want to lose sight of, especially as we try to get a younger demographic and a future demographic into our Rotary world.
Those are very good points. And I would love to add to those, but I want some more hands from the rest of the group. Mike, was that you?
Yeah. I agree with the point
Turn
that
these
Chris
fans
made.
off. Thank you. Sorry.
I agree with the point that Chris made that, by now we have other tools like LinkedIn. But LinkedIn's been around since 2003 or 2004, I think. And this survey was taken in 2011. I think the networking piece is important, still important, at least 19%, but it's different. Now we have social media, so it's not impossible for you to search people out that you want to meet. You can certainly contact those people by text messages or emails or any other way. But the difference at Rotary is you get to showcase yourself. So in a way, meeting somebody at a Rotary meeting is more like a quasi interview. And people can see you participating in a service project. They can see how you behave at a meeting. They can see how you interact with others. That's about as good as it gets from an interview point of view. So I think the networking piece of Rotary is actually every bit as important now, maybe even more important. You can find people on LinkedIn, but how do you actually get in front of them, right? They might not be willing to see you, but at a Rotary meeting, they will see you.
Well, and that's a good point, Mike, because I think we should, as we're looking at it, because membership is declining, and we could probably spend a couple hours discussing why. But I think as we're looking to bring in, I think maybe networking is something that's important. When we look at our vocational list, which I'm a big believer of them, but maybe we should emphasize that. This whole forum is an open discussion on how we can do little nuances in our clubs to grow membership, but to make membership feel engaged. I actually had a greeter that when he announced every one of our guests, he would ask them, he said, why don't you spend a couple of minutes and tell us about your business? And I thought it was amazing. They actually said, why, sure. I don't think anyone ever said no, I can tell you that much. But the point is, I don't think we emphasize that as much as we used to. And I think, again, as I said, we're all looking at nuances, how we can grow our clubs. And I think the idea is these are things that I think maybe we should be more involved in making sure is part of our club and giving them. We have always been spoiled. I'll be honest with you, as Rotarians, we've been spoiled because we've been creating these environments and people have naturally wanted to join. They've actually gravitated towards us as a club or as an entity in our town. In the old days, if you wanted to get known in business, you joined the Chamber of Commerce and joined the local Rotary Club. And that's how it worked. Nowadays, it's different. And, it's one of those, you show up for networking and you stay for the friendship. So these are all things that I just wanted to bring up today because I want everyone to kind of keep that in the back of your mind is maybe we don't explore that area as much as we should be. Jill, you have anything to add to that? What do you think? You're on mute, by the way.
I agree with everything you're saying. I think one thing that makes our club special is our relationships. We're like a giant family, and I love going to the dentist because he's a fellow Rotarian. I love going to my financial advisor because he's a fellow Rotarian. And I think Rotary has always held high standards for their members as far as ethics. And it kind of gives me comfort to know that by trusting my needs to a fellow Rotarian, I am being well taken care of. And I know that sounds old school, but that's me.
No, those are still strong values. I'm pretty sure those are core values. In fact, I probably read it somewhere. Paul, you're sitting back there. Glad to see you're not driving anymore. How are you?
Yeah.
Sorry about the duck vest. I'm sure we can get you an orange one if you need one.
Well, actually, the Ducks need all kinds of sympathy after their disastrous loss. So I'm just trying to help them along with their emotional needs.
Well, Peggy and I come from Orange Country, so we're used to disastrous losses. But anyway.
Well, my daughter actually played volleyball for the Ducks, so I'm kind of locked in there. And if you go back in history, my cousin was Don Reed was the head coach at Oregon years back, fantastic. Way back in the 60s.
Well, so, what do you think about this networking side we're discussing today?
I think it's underutilized. Totally. That one thing we're working on for taking our change this year, our directory this last few times has only been name, addresses, and very little information. So we've had requests for the different members to say, why can't we have some information about our business, what we do? I think that's definitely a unique thing that we have that we can utilize. Years ago when I was president of the Lions Club, that was not utilized at all. We simply met, and worked on eye problems or fundraising for that. So network, it's not making an impact like it should, I guess is the best thing I could say.
You bet. Well, I remember the old saying was, Rotary was the only place where you could talk to your accountant, your attorney, and your doctor without having to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if those days are still true. But when we look at, and I brought up the term vocational lists, because I'm a big believer in those. Maybe we should be looking at those. Maybe when we're looking at recruiting, when we're in the, we want to do 36% of us want to do more involvement in our community. Maybe these people are somebody that can help us. Maybe they can help point out where we need to be. Bob, Mr. Schutte, how are you today?
I am good. A little tardy in getting in the meeting. We had a
Glad to see you.
exciting directors meeting this morning and after meeting thing. So
Oh, good.
I'm still in Rotary. I've been in Rotary here for going on about 4 hours already today.
Any thoughts on our talking about networking side of it, which is
Yes, and I took notes. I'm a president-elect, and
oh, you got a hell of a week coming up for you, buddy.
well, we do, but also I like the idea. I need to do a review of our directory and see whether or not we have adequate information in there about business or our work backgrounds for each of our members. And I definitely like the idea that when introducing a visitor, you ask a question. What's your business? Tell us about it.
Yeah, you bet.
So,
Well, I like vocational lists because I've always used the metaphor that if you were on an Easter egg hunt or a treasure hunt and somebody gave you a list of places to look, wouldn't you find that important?
sure.
And I don't think it's ever been used or should be used as a reason to exclude people. Just the opposite. It should be a reason to think of places where you may have missed, where you're not looking. So I honestly believe membership is an active and intentional recruitment. If we truly want to do things in our community, we really need to start talking to community leaders. But Mike Hewitt,
Bruce,
good to see you part of
Bruce,
the meeting.
can you mute? Oh,
Better yet, I'm gonna talk to him, make him pay attention.
there you go.
Mike, how are you? Mr. Hewitt?
That's how you are.
Bruce, I had a question while we're waiting for Mike.
You bet.
Does everybody give classification speeches? Because that's one of our qualifications from going from red badge to blue badge. And it gives the member, they are the program that morning. And they have about 20 minutes to tell the club all about themselves. Some tell too much, to tell you the truth. But it's a great way to get to know what the people do and how they got to do what they do. I mean, I have just been amazed how many people in my club are on their second or third vocation and how they got there. I mean, it's like, whoa, we have aerospace people, we have people, I hate to admit it, who are training the air controllers. Maybe they need a little work on that, but and it's just amazing to me how people got to where they are in their lives. And it's a wonderful way to get to know members.
I think you're absolutely right.
We don't, to answer Jill's question, it's something that a while back districts or clubs got away from the classifications. It used to be you could only have one doctor and one attorney and one realtor. And then pretty soon it was, you can have 3 realtors, but they each have to focus on commercial real estate or residential. And so we started broadening it. Now we've diluted it so much that most clubs just, how many nonprofits do we have in our clubs? Lots. So do we do classification talks? No, but the idea of doing a vocational talk is great. You don't have to restrict your classifications. to be interested in somebody's
You bet.
vocation, their career path, the evolution of how they got to where they are, because those are interesting stories. So, you bring up a good idea that I want to, anytime you have a program void, like we do sometimes, you go there and the program can't make it for whatever reason. Great way to have somebody that's been in Rotary a long time or just a short time give a vocational talk. And you're right, you can't shut them up once they get started because they're Rotarians.
Actually,
Sorry,
Jill, giving them 20 minutes, I think. I don't think anybody in our club's allowed to hold the mic for more than 20 minutes. Even the governor, I think we cut him off at 15. The long and the short of it is when we create friendships and we're creating different types of fellowship, we need to have commonality. And I'm a big believer that programs are part of that. Community service is a huge part of that. Anybody that disagrees with me, take a look at your club the day after you've done a community project. Normally it's buzzed with conversation about things of that nature. But I think learning about their interests, learning about their hobbies, and learning about, normally business owners love to talk about their business. And so that is something that you can create. At RLI, I normally bring up the point that I have a very close friend of mine. One of my bucket lists is to get my pilot's license. And a close friend I've known for 20 years actually is part of a club, an airplane club, in Corvallis. And I never knew until he actually did his vocational talk and he talked about some of his hobbies. So the idea is in Rotary, when we talk about friendship and fellowship, getting to know that person, you'd be surprised, as you said before, some of the things that they've been involved in or some of the things that they've done throughout their community, or just how interesting their lives have been, is amazing. And you'll never know if you don't take the time as a club to respect that and make them basically bring it out on them. So let's go back to sharing the screen, and we're going to go to this one again, and we're going to go to different types of memberships. And when we're talking about the stickiness factor, we've kind of beat that up a little bit. We want to make sure that we understand, making them feel of value, listening to what the members have done, maybe some vocational talks. But when you're looking at types of membership, I bring this slide in here because I think why we're bringing in people, we're looking at recruiting people, we need to find out how they think and what works for them. I'm going to put in a video here pretty soon that has a great kind of, it definitely shows why some of these clubs, or why we unintentionally exclude people. So when it comes to that, do we feel that the model of the traditional club is working? Do we feel that, the noon club is what's creating more members, or is it, are we finding a way to bring in members that maybe Tuesday doesn't work for them? Is there a way that we can work around that? If somebody besides Chris doesn't say satellite, I'm going to end this meeting right away.
Well, yeah, obviously provide the member that may not be able to make to your meeting with Zoom access to the meeting. We do that at our club.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to bring up a slide here in a few seconds. I feel that, lives have changed, and one of the things that COVID was a very, very big example of working from home and how things have made our lives change. And suddenly we're not able to have the same availability that we had before. In the old days, as a business owner, I remember, I looked forward to my Rotary meeting because it gave me, I had to stop work, drive over to where we met, and I had an hour off, and then I would listen to the programs and in all honesty, talk to friends, and then I would come back. I have a lot of people that are working from home now. So the idea is they have to stop when they're working at home, get dressed, take a shower, then drive to the Rotary meeting, and then have to stop in the middle of the day and then come back and go back to it's a different mindset. I have a son-in-law that works, actually a brother-in-law that works. He's in San Francisco. He lives in Reno now because he works remotely. So suddenly, the way we do business and our lifestyles have changed. So satellite clubs are something that we should look at very, very importantly. Corporate's another thing we can do. When we talk about making a difference in our community, action-based and what was the term I missed?
Cause-based?
Cause-based clubs are an amazing way to create an attraction. If you have people that are all interested in the same cause, and it could be anything. It could be, I think, Jim, in your part of the world, there was some nurses that could not make, they have 20 minutes for lunch, but they had an evening. So there was actually 5 of them that got together and able to create a satellite club, all because they had similar vocations, their time schedules. And by being flexible, they were able to stay in Rotary and be able to create a level of fellowship that might not have been possible. So we need to be aware of that. Let me get to this video. It's a little bit more dramatic of how we need to be more available. And I'm sorry for popping in and out, but this is, for me, this is how here we go. Tell me this is going to work. Maybe not. Here, let me get it up here. Has everyone seen this before?
No. Nope.
Oh, well, let's see if I can get it through and see if it's a nice dramatic. Oh, hi, Diane. Glad to see you're here.
It's hard to say whether we've seen it or not because we still haven't seen it here.
No, I know that back and forth part of it. That's
just saying.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Here, let me see if I can get back out. Yeah, let's see if we can bounce it up. There we go. Huh. Normally, I'm fairly effective at this. I don't know if it's something to do. Anyway, there it is.
As Rotary, we often ask ourselves, how do we grow personally, professionally, and organizationally? The answer is simple. To grow Rotary, we need more Rotary clubs. Let's use Anytown as an example. Anytown is a city of 100,000 people and home to one proud Rotary club. But there are hundreds of other people of action, just like us, who are uniquely qualified to become Rotary members. They share the same drive and represent the values and fundamentals of a Rotary member. So why aren't they members? Well, the current club meets on Monday. There are leaders in Anytown who can't meet on a Monday. By excluding this segment, the potential members in Anytown has shrunk. Now consider, what if the meeting is at noon on Monday? There are people who can meet on Monday, but can't meet at noon. So now we have a smaller audience for Rotary in Anytown. Of the remaining group, some aren't interested in a club with a sit-down lunch and speakers. They are passionate about service, but aren't interested in a traditional club experience. And that is okay. The Rotary Club of Anytown isn't doing anything wrong. It just doesn't appeal to particular segments of the community. And if we're going to thrive for years to come, we must adapt and embrace change. In Anytown, we have an opportunity to expand because potential members are everywhere. More than half of the eligible people are prospective Rotary members, waiting to make a bigger impact in their community. But what Rotary Club exists for them? If Anytown creates new clubs at new times and new places, the hidden potential for Rotary will be revealed. As people of action, we must broaden our reach and provide opportunities to all leaders in the community. Together, all of us can grow Rotary.
So what do you think? Does that resonate with anyone? It shows pretty much how we shoot ourselves in the foot sometimes with what we feel we should be doing. I think we're going to lose. I knew Chris was going to be on her way. She's got a meeting to go to, so she's dropped off. Anyways,
A good example. We have one meeting a month in the evening, but Eugene Airport Rotary meets in the morning at 7:30, and our attendance to that evening meeting is almost 25% higher because we have good members, but just because of their careers, they can't meet in the morning, and so we've got to take a look at that.
Well, I've thrown out the word satellite many times, and there are a lot of clubs that are scared to death with that because they feel it's going to dilute their membership. I feel that satellite and cause-based clubs
Rotary training
are probably a very strong avenue for growth. People feel that by diluting it, and in fact, if anything, are actually enhancing their footprint for Rotary in their community. And I think that should be what we should be looking at. What I was hoping to do today is have some conversation about, as we're looking at clubs and we're looking at bringing in members, these are things that I think concepts we may or may not be. I want to put them back in the forefront of our memory as we're putting it. One of the things I wanted to bring up today, and I wanted to get some ideas about that, was when we do programs in our community. I was in a program the other day about in Albany and Greater Albany, we are very close to the Willamette River, as Peggy is too in Corvallis. And it was all about floodplains. And the speaker was very dry, and everybody was glued to that program because it had maps of floodplains. And I can tell you right now, everybody was looking for their house on that map. And but the reason why I felt it was so effective was because it was something that affected everybody in their community. And so when we're looking at venues, when we're looking at speakers, we're looking at programs, we really want to do something that's a little bit more community based. And sometimes we don't always do that. And I think programs are what people enjoy at our Rotary Club when they're going to them. And there's a lot more involved. I mean, I think Peggy can tell you, they're building a big old bridge in Corvallis, and it destroys any traffic pattern you ever thought. And their favorite is to change that traffic pattern about every 2 weeks. And so having a program just on building that bridge and where it's coming from was very, very informative. And these are things that I think we as leaders of our clubs and membership chairs, especially, because membership chairs, I think, should have a say in the programs. It's just a point I wanted to bring up. Question to the group is, do you feel your programs, where do you feel we should be looking for programs, and how can we create a list of effective programs for our clubs? Because I feel that's part of our engagement with our members. Anybody?
Bruce, this is Diane. I'm sorry, I'm in my car.
Not a problem.
And but I have some ideas.
Yeah, we'd love to hear them, Diane. Go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know if you know, but I'm an accountant. So I'm a spreadsheet queen, right? Mm-hmm. And I have done anyway, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say it succinctly here. I am happy to print out the programs. I think I have them for the last several years. It's always somebody different. Our vice president, and I know we don't call her that now, but Amy Thompson is the one who's doing it this year. But whoever's in that position gets the speakers, and I'm happy to make a PDF of all of our programs since I've been doing this, and then send them to the group, or send them to you and you can send them out to the group. But we have a great many different programs that are really lots of fun, and it depends on who's in it's not the president-elect, but it's the one before that who does it. Does that make sense?
The nominee?
Yeah, thank you.
Well, one thing we've got in our club, we have Gene Abel, who is setting up all the meetings. He mixes them up really well between civic action groups, and as well as we usually have at least once a month of a who am I for someone in our group or two people, and that seems to work really good. And again, getting people to know the members to know about their own members, I think has been fantastic.
Sure.
So we have a committee of 3, and they
Yeah.
each take 4 months. And that way, obviously everybody has different ideas, different interests, but I think it's helped to get a real variety of programming. And just as a side note, I wanted to let you all know that Jacksonville Applegate Rotary Club is actually an offshoot of Jim's club in Central Point. All of our members started there.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, how many of you have ever thought about talking to your AG about programs? One of the things I know Peggy has a person called a Joyce Maitland. Not everybody has a Joyce Maitland. She is an amazing. She has programs scheduled out for pretty much what, a year and a half? What do you think, Peggy? Peggy's nodding her head. The reason I say that is every time when I was an AG, every time I was in a club, if they had a newsletter or if they had a program, I always started a file on programs and I shared them with as many clubs as I could. And I don't know if any of you have used that resource, but you should ask every once in a while your AG, because he does. They sit in many different clubs and they do hear many different programs. And they normally have a pretty good understanding, but I don't know if anyone's ever asked them. I don't know if anyone said, hey, by the way, have you, is there a program that you feel is specific to our area that might be of importance? I've had, a lot of people that have came to me in our club said, I'm 45 minutes away or I'm 30 minutes away. And so it's a 2-hour lunch for me, not necessarily a 1-hour lunch. And I really like to use the programs as a reason to go to the clubs, and not as a reason for their attendance, but as a reason for them to build the importance, whether it's a floodplain or whether it's what's going on with the bridges, something they can bring back that is important to the community, and it builds relevance, I guess. So does anybody out there, do you guys have a newsletter? Do you get newsletters from other clubs?
Not here.
Mike?
No, we don't either, Bruce.
Okay,
In Newport.
I don't know why we don't share. Mike, what's your thought? Mike McGowan, what's your thoughts on that?
So I'm a process guy. I really enjoy understanding how the clubs work and how they're different. And we've heard just now that some clubs have one person who's responsible for programs for a long period of time. Some clubs, like Jill's, have 3 people over the course of a year. Our club leaves it more flexible, where every 6 months we send a clipboard around and you sign up for a month. And it's always 3 people who sign up per month so that you can help each other pick the programs. For me, the most important thing about programs is surveying the community and involving the community in your process. And so I don't know, when I'm listening to, like, Peggy's club has a single person who's organizing things, I can see the attraction of that. But for us in our town, virtually every club member has some responsibility for soliciting speakers and creating programs over the course of the year. And I think that outreach is a really important way for club members to learn more about the community and involve Rotary in the community by inviting people to come and share their story, and we share our story.
And we're getting ready to start our board meeting, so it's been a pleasure. Nothing personal, but I'm leaving.
Oh, thanks for joining us.
All right, take care.
Peggy, you had something to add?
Yeah, Joyce loves doing that, and you're right. We are so lucky to have her, and I think it would hurt her feelings if somebody wanted to take over that position. But we don't get anybody's newsletter. But Corvallis is a small enough community that counting Philomath, there are 3 other clubs besides ours, and our members are very social. And if anybody sneezes in one of the other clubs, somebody in our club knows it. And so we know what's going on as far as speakers in other clubs, and we just tell Joyce, and she calls that club, and so we do piggyback on other clubs, as well as just our members, come up with an idea and go to Joyce, and there she goes. But I also wanted to say that the speakers have been a good source of new members for us. We have had several of our speakers end up joining, as I did when I was a speaker.
Well, don't forget that not only the speaker itself, but the program is a reason to invite a friend.
Right.
If you have somebody that is interested in a certain thing, that's the best time. Hey, we're having a meeting on this topic. Love to have you come with us, type of thing. So those are great things. Jim, we haven't called on you. Hey, you found your voice, buddy.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Can you
can.
hear me now? Oh, good.
Good.
I had to make some adjustments. I don't know why.
About time you joined the conversation.
Yeah, that's tough. I had a lot of great ideas, but I'm gonna run out of time.
No.
We formed several years ago, not several, 5 or 6 years ago, a group, United Rotary Clubs of Southern Oregon, and it's basically Jackson County. So Jill and Central Point and all these different groups get together monthly with our assistant governor, and we talk about this kind of thing, programs. We share what's going on in our clubs, and we've had a few programs come out of that. Michelle's done a few for us, and but one of the interesting things about our group is that we officially make a statement at the beginning of the year that we're going to have at least 12 classification talks. And we have one person who's essentially in charge of that, arranging for those. So we get members who've been in the club since the early 80s and have them do classification talks. Then we have some of our newer members do classification talks. And it really gives us a good view of what our membership is doing. And then the last thing we do, so I think we're a fairly philanthropic group, and we give a lot of money away to different nonprofits. We try to limit the nonprofits that we invite to do presentations, but we do ask the head of the nonprofit that we're funding to come in and do a presentation also. So we have 3 different kind of emphasis on what we're going to do as programs. Plus then we have probably another dozen programs that we just come up with, really interesting things. So that's our story. I'm sticking to it.
Well, thank you, Jim. Good to hear from you. Well, I am glad to hear from you because I just feel that programs are a very integral part of us as Rotarians and what we have at meetings. And I think we need to do justice to them to make sure they're being handled. There is no wrong answer. And I think they can be, I know you want to keep them mixture between maybe your members need to do some vocational talks. Maybe you need to do some community events and some talks of that nature. I have a member of our club he was raised on a nutria farm, and he has some of the greatest stories about raising nutria. In fact, that's the label of his program, is Nutria, the other dark meat. And just a longtime member of Albany. And it's amazing, but it's something that everybody loves. And about every 3 years, we cycle through that when we can convince them to have it again. The point is, there's no wrong answer. You're looking for programs that are engaging. You're looking for programs that are memorable. You're looking for programs that are welcoming. The whole idea is to create something in your club that your members enjoy going to and enjoy bringing members. I've always thought part of the secret sauce of membership is when you create an environment where people feel comfortable, they have a tendency to invite friends. And sometimes that doesn't happen. I think maybe we're losing that either we're not networking enough, maybe, I know that people are not, we're not congregating the way we used to. I sat down, speaking of the other clubs, Peggy, I sat down with the superintendent of schools, and they were saying even at schools, their biggest fight is getting kids to come to school because they all want to go online now. The attendance is huge. So every industry, whether it could be faith-based, I know a lot of churches are having problem with people showing up. Rotary's not the only entity that is struggling with that, and our ability to kind of stay focused. We're in the people business, and we need to do more outreach. We need to talk, call, say hi, find out what we can do to keep these, our members engaged. And I think programs are a big part of it. So thank you for letting us dwell on that.
Bruce,
Jill.
this is Diane again.
Hi, Diane.
One of the things our club does, and our assistant governor is Mark Miranda. He's part of our club too.
Great person.
Yes, he is. But because we're a small community, we're a community of 10,000 people. But what we do is we have our regular meetings every Thursday. And then we have once a month, we have socials in the evening where people can come and, have a beverage and, eat some snacks. So that seems to work. I think we tried a satellite club and all that other stuff, but it just didn't work because we are a small community. But anyway, we one more thing, we have Oregon Coast Community College here, and the president has retired, Brigitte, and there's a new president, Marshall, and he's transferring from the Salem Club. But one of the things that I tried to do, and I had it for a little while, is a Rotaract club, and it just didn't work out because we're not a university town, right? So I talked to him about, again, maybe he can help me start figuring out how to make it work for the community college students. Lots of stuff, and I'll quit speaking. Thank you.
No, that's fine, Diane. Actually, Mike Hewitt just dropped off the call. He's actually bringing on a community college down out of Brookings. Community colleges, Rotaract, and I didn't want to bring it up today because Rotaract, we could drill down on Rotaract for an hour. I think it's a very open area of growth for us as Rotarians, and it is not always college based. But we view it as that, and so that things are changing dramatically on what we can do. But there's still Rotary International is still looking at how they describe Rotaract. They're changing due structure back and forth. It's actually pretty significant in council legislation this year with regards to discussion. But no, I think Rotaract Interact. I mean, think about that. Any high school can provide an Interact club. And it's not only your children and you, the students, that are being involved with it, but it's the parents. The parents are now maybe seeing what's something, Rotary for the first time. They may have never had an experience with that. So those are different, just a small touch on what we can, things that we can do to involve our community a little bit further.
And we have I'm sorry, this is Diane again. We have a vibrant Interact club because of Amy Thompson. She's our president nominee. Am I saying it right, Bruce?
Yep.
Okay, so she is amazing and gotten our Interact club it's amazing.
Okay.
So
well,
we have a vibrant Interact club. Yeah.
It takes that too. It's a lot of effort. So good for you. Bob, do you have anything for the good of the order to bring up? Any comments? You're sitting back there being nice and quiet.
Now the wheels are turning, Bruce.
As president-elect, Peggy can.
I'm gonna figure out how to get on the mailing list for some of our other local clubs here. I think that's a great idea, sharing newsletters, both from the standpoint of just news in general, but tips and ideas as well. So,
whatever you can do. I mean, the point is it's like, Mike out at Lakeview, your area can only support so much. I mean, if you're sitting in a place like Corvallis and you have 4 clubs that can help you, it's a little easier and you can share a little bit easier. And I don't think we visit other clubs nearly enough.
Right.
And it's just nice to meet people and get understandings. And in defense of I don't mean to pick on Peggy too much, but in defense of Joyce, the idea is she's always looking for good programs. So if you have programs and you bring them to your program chair, they normally are very receptive to put those into. The fun is always the scheduling side of it because everybody's available on a Tuesday when you have a Wednesday club, things of that nature. So there's always those things. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes left. Any topic, anything we want to comment back on? Anything to add? Yes, Bob.
Well, I do that, Bruce. So, it's been a couple years ago now, but part of my work experience was in the steel construction, heavy construction, and once upon a time, I worked on a project to retrieve a sunken Russian submarine.
Wow.
I had some hands-on activities associated with that. And I've given that presentation at our club, but I do it at other clubs if people were interested.
I think that would be a heck of a great program.
Yeah.
Where was it sunken? Atlantic
In the
or
North Pacific? North Pacific.
North Pacific.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't give too much of the story away right here.
No, we don't want you to do that. Leave some mystery for the perfect. Hey, Michael. All right. Yeah, we'll do Mike. We'll do Mike and then we'll do Peggy.
Could you just let me know, remind us why I guess there's a rule that a satellite club must have at least 8 members. Is that true, Bruce, or not?
Yes. And the fact that Chris is on this call, my feeling is I think you can start a satellite club with anything. It needs 8 members to be able to be considered a satellite club. It does not take a president, it takes a chair, and you stay under the structure of your existing club. If you have 5 people that sit and again, I go back to the cause-based clubs because most of the time when you have 5 people, they all have some commonality, which is why they join the club. You are not going to have the Rotary police swing in and say, I'm sorry, you're being disavowed because you didn't have, I don't count 8 people. I believe just the opposite. If it's a positive thing, it's going to grow from that. So if you had 5, then you know what the job of the first of 5 is to get 6 and so on and so forth. And
okay.
you do want to have drop-ins, but I don't like the hard rule of 8 because I feel if anything, it's limiting because if you had 6 people waiting around for 2 more before they start a club, no, start a club, start creating something and go from there.
Thanks, Bruce.
Now, to create an actual club takes 20. Now, there's talk about changing that to 15 because there are clubs of 15 that are very, very active and very, very involved in their communities. But currently, right now, it's at 20 to actually create a club. That's a little different. That's why I like satellites because you can build. And once you build the momentum into 20, then you can create a club. Okay. Peggy, did you have a question?
A statement. So we have just recently got a Rotaract club at Oregon State. And the gal from Oregon State that got in contact with us and started it is a real go-getter. And so we call it the President's Message newsletter. And so every week when I send that out, I always send one to her. And at the bottom of it is a link to join our hybrid meetings. And she, when she doesn't have a class conflict, joins our meetings on Zoom. She did attend one meeting live, but we also send the President's Message to members who were whining or not members, prospective members that were whining and dining, or people that have shown an interest. Because there's information about what our program is, and if there's any new things going on, any projects going on, because as we've been saying, that's why a lot of people join us. They want to be involved in projects. So if we can get that newsletter out to people that are kind of on the fence and let them know what we're doing, we're hoping that'll bring them into the club.
Yeah, you used to send that to me when I was your AG and important. Now I'm a district governor nominee. I'm not important anymore. So I don't get the
You're
newsletter.
too important, too far above
You're
us.
saving electronic messages.
Right.
No, thank you, Peggy, for that input. Any other input? We are at 10:59.
This is Diane really quick because
No problem.
Bruce, you and
We lost you, Diane.
driving. I am running the four-way speech contest for the Rotary Club of Newport. I'm also running it for district.
Yeah.
And it March 13th, I believe, is the date here. Chris was a judge last year. It was awesome. Bruce, if you want to do it and come, I know you've been to one of our meetings, it'd be great. I believe it's March 13th, but I can send you both an email or a text.
Yeah, send me something on that. Which brings me actually to my closing statement, which is I would love to be part of that. We are putting together a workshop in Ashland, Medford area on March 8th. And it'll be 5 hours. It's on a Saturday. I'm just now I got to get through Pels, but I'm just now starting to market it. If you guys are in the area, it's a Saturday and it's free. And yes, Jill, you will be on the top of the list. I am working that right now. It will be similar to an RLI process, but it's a 9-to-1 where we go through every aspect of membership, drilling down. There is no charge for that, and it is geared for anybody in your club. Of course, club presidents, president-elects, and membership chairs are always nice to see, as well as board members. But anybody that is a Rotarian that would like to know more about membership, I encourage you. It's a Saturday, and we like to get it where you can make it there after breakfast and get there. We'll have lunch, and then we'll send you home at 1 o'clock in time to get home and get the dog fed, at least walked and watered before Mayberry RFD comes on TV, and then you have.
What's the date, Bruce? March 8th?
March 8th.
And where is it going to be?
I am probably going to have it it might even be in Ashland. In fact, I know it's going to be in Ashland. Dan, I'll put it on the calendar for the actual address, and then I'll apologize. It's just with Pels coming up. And
probably Ashland Hills Hotel seems to be
I'm not sure, but so it is. I'm at a loss right now. I was told I was going to do it with Mike and I were going to do Port Orford, and we had to pivot real quick, and so I haven't been able to. I've got my venue settled, but I haven't. To be honest with you, all the information is not on my desk.
And it's strictly geared towards membership. Is that correct?
Membership from the minute you walk in the door to the minute you walk out the door.
Okay, 9-to-1.
We'll not talk about any of those other stuff. We'll talk about membership.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir. Yes, Bob.
Yeah. So, Bruce, Saturday, March 8th is an important date in Springfield, Oregon.
Is it?
Springfield Rotary Club is holding its annual auction that date. And I'd like to invite you, but I bet you're busy.
Well, I will, because I'll be entertaining the other half of your club that's going to be down at the membership down there in my place. Anyway, no, thank you for that, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. As always, if you have some topics you want to see in forums, let me know. But the idea of today was to kind of popcorn out some understanding and just little ways that we can kind of, make our clubs a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more engaging. So thank you for your input. Take care.
Thanks, Bruce. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See y'all.